Hey guys, I hope you're having a great day today. The sun is out, it's beautiful, and looks like things are really starting to warm up here. So something kind of popped into my head today, and I thought it was kind of fascinating. And what about, and it's so funny, today I wanted to talk about like judgments. So how many of us, like, what is a judgment? And what's so funny is that while you're listening to me, you're probably judging me right now, which is really funny. So, like, what are judgments? Why do we have them? And where do they come from? The more I live my life, the older I get, the more I experience, the less I judge. And why is that? Is that some people, as they age, they get more judgmental. Like, because when we're kids, sometimes we don't even see color. Sometimes we don't see anything. We're just so free spirits. And it's like, why do we have to judge? Like, something funny happened to me today, and I was like, we need to talk about this. So, I can't say it because she'll know it's about her, so I don't want to say it, but there was this one girl, and I was like, wow, she looks so perfect, or she's so, like, together, and she's got the perfect hair, she's got, like, so much money, she just doesn't know what to do with it. She's so put together, and everything is so perfect, but then when I get to know her, I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that she was looking for another way, or, that she wasn't what I thought. How many times do we go around and we meet people or we make a first judgment or first impression on them, and they're not who we thought they were, right? And it's like, where did we get those judgments from? Like, are they from our moms? Or were they from our dads? Where did they come from our friends? Like, how many times did we meet someone and we thought that they were a certain kind of person because someone else told us about them? Or maybe if they had a lot of money, they were going to be mean. I mean, how many of us heard that, point of view, which is an interesting point of view. And the more wealthy people I get to know, it's like they're actually like amazing, beautiful philanthropists, like people who give back to the community. So it's like, who put that in your head, right? Even in high school, right? Like a lot of people in high school, I mean, I don't think you could, I will meet people and they will tell me what they thought. Or where I fit into everything, which is kind of funny because I didn't like to be judged. I was a little bit of everything. And I'm like, gosh, I played soccer, but then I was a cheerleader. But then again, I was like into like being like class president or vice president. I was into that. But then I was in German club. But how geeky is that? But then I would hang out with gangbangers. And then, or I was a tomboy who wore overalls and Birkenstocks, but then went to Grateful Dead shows and hung out with all kinds of people. So what kind of label would you put on me, or what kind of judgment would you have on me, right? So it's just, you really can't, people are people. And that's what's so funny is that sometimes we have these judgments. Now, even in business, some people are like, oh, that person seems so important, or they're so together. And I will tell you this, there was this one chiropractor, and she had this huge house. I mean, it was like a mansion. It was just so big. And I mean, it was probably like one of the biggest houses like in our whole like area where we live. And people were like, wow, she's so put together. She's so perfect. And then when I got to know her, she didn't have enough money to pay for her payroll for her staff, that I had to take money out of my bank account. And at the time we lived in the ghetto, which was a really not so good part of our neighborhood, but that's where we had to start because that's what we had to do. And it's like, how funny is that? Like, you sometimes we put people on a pedestal. We think that they're so perfect or they're so put together. And it's like, that's real. That's real. Or I might meet someone, maybe they don't look so good, or they're kind of a little shabby, or maybe just living it or kicking it, and then they're like the most generous person, or then you find out maybe they're a millionaire. It's like, I've learned the more I go throughout life, I learn not to judge. Like, how does it feel to be judged? Do you like it? Does it feel good? Have you ever been in a room and you're like, wow, they're all judging me? It feels like, yeah, it feels bad to Marianne. It feels really bad, right? And I've learned to be like, okay, for every judgment I get, I'll just be $5,000 richer. So just bring it on. Just bring it on. Whatever point of view you have, just have that point of view. That's okay. So I can deal with it. But what would it be like to be an allowance? What would it be like to not have a point of view or a judgment about someone, right? I mean, and how many times have we gone and we trusted people and we're like, oh yeah, this person is so perfect, or you got to be friends with this person because they have it all together. And then you get to know them, you're like, ooh, they're not a nice person, right? I mean, how many times has that happened to you? So it's like, I guess that's why that's why I love doing business. That's why I love people, is that it's like a game every day. It's like, you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what's going to happen. But it's like, why can't we let go of these judgments, right? Maybe that person, right? Amen, Marianne. Maybe that person's having a really bad day. Maybe that person just got let go from their job. Maybe that person is so mean to you because they're dealing with a husband who's mean to them. Or maybe they're being abused, right? Like, we don't know where people are coming from, and we don't know their backgrounds. We actually don't know what their life is like unless we've walked in their shoes, right? And sometimes people are the way they are because they're hurting inside or there's something going on. So maybe just to smile at them, even if they're mean, and just go on with your day, right? But like, why can't we let go of these judgments? Judgments of the way people look, judgments of the way people are, judgments of, of everyone, right? And just let people be people, right? Like, what were we like when we were children, right? We all played together, right? Like, I just met a friend. I've known her since probably like kindergarten, right? Like, we were all friends with each other. We didn't care what color skin you are. We didn't care what neighborhood you came from. We all were like one team. And it's like, why can't we get back to that, right? And it's like, even my kids, even my 6th grade teacher, this is so embarrassing, but this is like how I live. This is how I am. My 6th grade teacher is mixed. Well, I'm like, she's just got a really good tan. And my dad's like, Aubrey. And I'm like, because that's how I am. And I love my 6th grade teacher. She was great. But it's like, I don't see color. I don't see things like that. And it's like, what is it going to make you, why do we have to judge people, right? Why don't we let go of the judgments and just be in that space, be an allowance? Can you go a whole day without judging? If someone has like a judgment against you or what you do or your lifestyle, why can't you just say, interesting point of view? You have that point of view. Or you could say it in your head so you don't make them upset. But just say, interesting point of view, you have that point of view. And just go on with your day, guys. Because, we're just all people. We're all trying to make it. And then how many times have we put someone on a pedestal that maybe we thought they're so great, or everyone's like, this is the person, or they're the one. They have the answer. And then I will get to know some of these people. I'm like, ooh, they're kind of like a jerk. And again, it's my interesting point of view, but it's again, maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they're not making so much money. Maybe their cat just died, or maybe they're going through something really hard, but let's let go of those judgments. I mean, what are judgments? Why do we carry them around? Why are they so important to us? Like, is it really that important? And whenever I'm in a room with people, I think my biggest thing is I really try to get people not to judge me, because they'll be like, well, you're Catholic, or you're this, you're that. And I'm like, I'm everything. I'm like, I'm spiritual. I'm this, I'm that. I'm like, I believe in this, I believe in that, but I'm everything. And they look at me, they're like, you're crazy, girl. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, so are you going to judge me? Or like, or if I go to church and I'm like, I'll walk in and I'll look like this. They're like, really? They're like, you got some balls, or you're kind of crazy. And I'm like, it is what it is. Like, I am who I am, and I'm not going to change who I am for anybody else. So why not just be you? And if someone is judging you, why not just let it roll over you? Kind of be an allowance with that and see how that feels for you, So be yourself, don't judge others, or actually say judge others, because you'll do whatever I tell you not to do. But, or if you're being judged, just say, hey, that's an interesting point of view. Interesting point of view, have that point of view, and to see how that feels for you. But it's so funny. I love every day. I love the people I meet. I love sometimes like looking like I just worked out, and then I'm like no makeup, nothing on me. And I'm like, whatever. Like, this is who I am. Take it or leave it. You know, if someone judges me, they judge me. But it's like, why not get comfortable with you? Why not get comfortable for who you are? But let's let go of all those judgments. Again, I laugh when I see people from high school. They're like, I thought you were like this. And a lot of people, their first impression of me is not what they really think of me. Most times, like, they'll say, I didn't like you, or I thought you were this kind of girl because you hung around those kind of people. And I'm like, well, that's too bad, you know? So it's like, why not just, you know, let people be who they are, let go of the judgments. But yeah, the more and more I live my life, the more people I meet, I learn not to judge. I'm like, you never know. You never know what's going on behind closed doors. And that's another thing too. It's like, wow, isn't that crazy? That's right, Raymond. That's so right. You know, and just do your best, because everyone is just, what they say, everyone's like fighting a war, their own war every day, or they have their own challenges every day that there's all kinds of people I meet every day. And, you know, just love one another. Actually, some of my worst enemies are friends with me now. How funny is that? How funny is that? So, that's all I want to say. And it's so true. Just love people. Maybe they're having a bad day. And what I learned about those people who didn't like me then, they just didn't know who I was. And maybe people don't know who you are. Or maybe you don't know who they are, right? So just let go of judgments. Be an allowance. And again, if someone does judge you and you're in allowance, you'll be $5,000 richer that year. How cool is that? Have a great day, guys. And I will see you soon.